4 of 94 feet, where KP and Tim go into what's going on in the hoops world. We got a good show today. We got a little bit of a bubble update. We got the conclusion of the TBT tourney. And we have some, it looks like some info coming out of the WNBA. So that will be fun. But first and foremost, how you doing today, KP?
Man, I'm doing great. Had weights at 7 in the morning, then Netflix, and a whole lot of nothing after that. So it's been a good time.
There you go. Life of a teacher.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as you guys know, we start with the question of the day. And KP came up with this one. And he said, how many players will be kicked/quarantined from the bubble? Okay. Who is going to be stupid? And how many of them will? And go ahead and start us off. How many have been so far?
Yeah, so we've had 2 players kicked out for just the most ridiculous reasons. One dude checked into his hotel, and then I guess he forgot he was at his hotel and walks out of his hotel to go do whatever he was doing. And he said, okay, I went off campus. Now you have to be quarantined for 8 days or 6 days or whatever it was. And it's like, so he just stepped in, stepped out, and now he's whatever. And then the second guy, he decided to order delivery, and the delivery guy couldn't find his hotel room or his specific drop-off point or whatever. Walks off campus to get his delivery driver. When he walks back in, security's like, hey, sorry, now you have to quarantine.
So when you say walks off campus, how far are we talking? We talking about literally just outside the front door in like right outside the facility, or is it literally a mile down the road?
Yeah, so you can walk outside of your hotel room. You can go out into your balcony. Then you can go on the hotel surface, that area. But outside the hotel, I think it's more than 6 feet off the pavement. You're now quarantined. And obviously, if you have contact with outside individuals besides that, that's another strike against you. So they're being kind of strict. They've adopted a lot of these rules from TBT, and I mean, as annoying and as childish as these babysitting protocols seem, it worked out for TBT. I mean, we'll see.
Well,
what happens
it worked out for the teams that played, but 5 teams it didn't work for.
Well, when you test positive for corona or otherwise, I mean.
Yeah, that was also only a 10-day situation, not a 90-day, whatever it's going to be for the NBA. But still, And I do get this. They have to make it strict, right? To make it so that they don't even want to... Because how people work in general is we like to push the barriers, right? We like to push the line, right? Especially if you have kids, right? They push to the brink of where you are.
Whoa. High school kids have never tried to fight me on any rule that I've set.
Yeah, you as a teacher. Right,
no
exactly.
Way.
So that makes it so that if they are strict, and it makes it so that walking into the parking lot is against the rules, going to the nightclub is probably not going to even be a conversation, even though the nightclubs aren't open. But you get what I'm saying. They're not going to a house party in Orlando. They're with some friends that they know, whatever. That's just not even a conversation starter. There's no, I'm running out to my car real quick just to grab something, and they don't keep track of them that hard, and all of a sudden they're gone for hours, and then they walk in with somebody that just walked out. I don't know, they would try to find some sort of way. But now with this is that they don't even make it so that's possible. So I do get why they have to be strict, but at the same time, when you look at those rules, you're like, it's outside in the sun, the Orlando heat. I'm not getting corona in the middle of this Orlando heat outside.
Yeah.
Well,
and the thing is about it, if they had more players test positive, because they put out 322 player tests, and only 2 players came back positive. One was Russell Westbrook, and he's spending the time. He's not even in the bubble. He's not there. So I agree with you with the whole they have to be strict. They have to set the bar because people are going to push and push and push. But the NBA is doing a lot of weird, gimmicky kind of things to keep the players involved, and they seem like I don't know, like there's a bags tournament, there's horse competitions. You see Luka Doncic and the Mavericks shooting off the ceiling and kicking the ball behind their heads and doing a soccer move. They have 2K20 basketball games. I mean, they're doing Madden games. They're doing all kinds of things. And some of the players, Myers Leonard, a U of I alumni, so go Fighting Illini.
Had to make the plug.
He decided to do his own competition. So he grabbed a full can of Coors Light beer, a 12-ounce can, showed the camera that it was full, and then shotgunned it appropriately in a fast fashion, because that's what college people do, or bored athletes. And Jordan Clarkson from the previously the Lakers, now I believe he's with the Pelicans, he said, "Why are you sipping those baby beers?" and grabs a tall boy and shotguns that. So now Myers Leonard and Jordan Clarkson are actively going back and forth with this shotgunning challenge, and I'm all here for it. I love seeing all this stuff. These NBA players messing around in different fashions. It's comical. All the stuff you see on social media.
Those are kind of like lower players, but yeah. What if you saw this competition between like LeBron and AD? Like, yeah. Now that would be viral. Like, people would be going nuts over LeBron versus AD chugging, like, shotgun challenge.
If it was LeBron, it would have to be like red wine or something, so it wouldn't be as exciting. But it would be
slap the bag. He's gonna do slap the bag.
LeBron would kill slap the bag. He might be the first person to puncture that bag. Honestly, he might be that.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be smacked by that. No thanks.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I would enjoy a bags tournament though. I like playing cornhole.
Yeah. So the one that was on the NBA circuit was CP3. I think he was playing a Shy, Gilius Alexander. I believe that's who he was playing. And CP3 ended up winning by 2 points, I think.
That makes sense because CP3 is a good bowler.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. So that makes sense that he'd be decent at bags.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, 2 people tested positive out of the 322 came. Like, that was it? That's the only 2 people that tested positive?
Of the new test, yeah. Like, obviously, Rudy Gobert.
Of the new test. Because the initial test, they had, 1 point something % of people had it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, very similar. And very similar numbers here. If you notice in the news and stuff, the CDC and different organizations are putting out, the coronavirus vaccine is kind of getting more weight and stuff. And I think that they're more or less doing this as precautionary because as soon as that vaccine is pushed through, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these players wait a little bit so it's got more results or more people tested on it. But then I'm sure a lot of these players will have it, and then these testing and things will be gone. They won't even have to worry about it. Hopefully, obviously vaccines, they're kind of iffy on whether or not they're working the first couple of trial years or whatever. But it's all just precautionary.
Have you heard how they're doing the vaccine? This is a whole different side topic, but you brought it up. Have you heard how they're doing this vaccine?
I have not.
So this is the first vaccine where they're cloning the virus. So usually they take a dead virus or a weakened form of the virus to insert, as well with other things, to insert it so that your body can create the antibodies. Well, this time they're implementing for the first time a clone, which is really interesting to see how that pans out. If they could make it so that our body produces antibodies with just a clone of it.
And I'll be honest, if that's what's going on, that's the vaccine they're putting out right now, I'm not getting it. I'm gonna definitely wait. If I get fired, I get fired. But I will definitely wait. I'll wear a mask. I'll wear a full body germ-free suit, whatever it is. But I'm not.
Yeah, I'm sure there's multiple vaccines coming out. So I don't know if the one the CDC, our CDC is working on, is actually a clone. But I think it was Germany that was getting close to making a vaccine. That's what they were doing. Which I thought that was pretty interesting. Fair enough.
Definitely. And a couple other updates from the bubble. Okay, so Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
Jimmy Butler. I did not like Jimmy Butler for a long time. I don't know why. It was just I was a Jimmy hater when he was in Chicago. Probably just because he was from Chicago or he went to Chicago. But this dude got checked into his hotel, went to practice, and he had 3 or 4 hours of downtime. So in his hotel room, in those little rooms that we showed you guys last week. He's dribbling a basketball the whole time through his whole hotel room, like in between his couch or his bed and his desk, in the bathroom, just wherever he's at, dribbling. So apparently somebody from a lower level called in security, noise complaint. Security found out the room he was in, knocked on the door thinking they were going to tell a little kid. Turns out, star basketball forward Jimmy Butler.
And they walked out. Yeah, and they were like, said, "Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. My bad. I shouldn't have knocked. It's my fault."
Noise complaint on me. Noise complaint on me.
Like that's how that works.
That is hilarious.
I think the bubble's going well for the most part. The only thing that's kind of disheartening is that snitch hotline, which, I mean, that's the whole thing that I don't get is like basically any player can call this number, and if you know another player that is disobeying the rules,
mm-hmm.
you can basically tell on them with no like, your likeness or your name doesn't get put out there. It's like no one knows you did it. So what is this to stop people from making up things so other star players can't play? Like, I mean, there's probably have to be some kind of evidence with it. But if I was smart and I'm on a team that is playing the Lakers next week and I need to win this game, LeBron might be doing some social distancing rule violations. I don't know.
Yeah, they would have to investigate it before.
I mean,
but yeah, what if it came 2 hours before tip-off?
Yep. And then you're worried, like the NBA is gonna be worried about that player. Coronavirus can't be sending that around.
Holy crap!
I don't know. I assume there's different parts to it, but from what the players are saying, it's essentially just pettiness is what's going to happen with it, because once a player figures out who told on them, now it's retaliation and it's just back and forth. I mean,
right. Well, which is why it's anonymous.
Yeah.
Which is why it's anonymous. But at the same time, like if you are, if you're a player and you did something maybe questionable, that there's probably only a handful of people, up to 10 people that saw you do it. So you're probably going to have an idea of like, okay, who is the snitch in this situation?
Right.
But no, I didn't even think about that possibility of somebody being accused right before tip-off. Like, hopefully nobody does that, because that's just really
that's
low.
Poor sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Right. It's Bush League. It is. And I mean, I'm not going to say I don't know. Obviously, I don't know any NBA players personally or anything like that, but I don't see that being an issue. I really don't know why the NBA would put this in place at all, because a lot of the NBA players and a lot of people put this out there kind of publicly. The NBA is a brotherhood, even if you're playing across from somebody, they switch jerseys. Like Charles Barkley's famous lines is, "We would never do that. When I played against Michael Jordan, I didn't like Michael Jordan. Blah blah blah. I would never give him my jersey. I would never take his jersey. Okay, whatever."
Hashtag, go ahead and rate that Charles Barkley impersonation down in the comments. Give me a rating on 1 to 10. Arguably the worst. Charles and Barkley. He didn't even attempt to try to do the Charles Barkley. That's
something
awesome.
Something he would say versus how he would say it. It's okay though.
No, that's funny. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I got you.
But the last thing I saw that you said was Zion apparently left the situation.
Yeah, so Zion is out currently. His family is dealing with some kind of medical emergency. The Pelicans released a statement. The statement basically just said, we're not going to go into the type of medical emergency or who the medical emergency involves. It is someone in Zion's family, and he is returning home to help them cope with whatever is going on. I would assume it's either a mom or his stepdad. Because those are the only two people that he has openly been emotional and invested with publicly anyway.
Uh-huh.
But you don't know, and they haven't released anything. But hopefully it's just something small and he can come back. But if he doesn't come back, he might face some of those penalties.
Yeah, how does that work right now? So since he left, what's the situation?
Yeah, so he has to take a series of COVID tests in a row. I think it's 2 days in a row. If he's gone, he has to take 4 tests. If he's gone for more than 2 days, he has to take some number of tests based on the number of days he's gone. and if he's gone for more than or if he misses tests, then he has to quarantine for between 8 days and 2 weeks. If he makes all his tests, he has all negative tests, he's good to go. He's coming back to the bubble, quarantining for just 48 hours, and then he's back in play. So it kind of just depends. I mean, there's a whole lot of ifs and situations that could come up. But
yeah, and so that's good that this is happening now and not 10 days from now. Like 10 days from now, like that could be killer. Obviously, right now it sucks that he's not going to be practicing with his team, but and even when he gets back, I'm sure that he'll make all his tests. I mean, it's way too important to not do your tests right now, and seems like a really intelligent dude that wouldn't mess this up.
And regardless, he'll have someone reminding him, like, "Hey, you just turn in your COVID test today." Like everyone in that organization has his phone number right now. Like they're constant contact. They can't lose him. Memphis is coming. The Trailblazers are coming. I mean, they're both already ahead. Like they can't lose any ground.
Ownership they're going to be on him. That is for certain. Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with you. I think this is actually working out pretty decent. It sounds from the sounds of it. I mean, only 2 out of the 322 players tested positive so far. Only 2 players have been quarantined so far. How long have they been there now? Is it almost a week?
So Russell Westbrook, I think he's on 8 days now, so he's got a little bit less than a week left. He might be a little bit closer to 10 days. But the other player, I don't.
No. I was talking about like how long have all the players been there? When did they arrive in Orlando?
Some of them came as soon as like July 2nd.
July 2nd.
Others, it kind of depends.
They've been trickling in
where your players. Yeah, because they didn't have all 24 teams in there yet. 22 teams.
Well, being there for 2 weeks then, from July 2nd to the 16th, only having 2 players test positive, and only 2 players breaking the rules so far, like. I would say that's actually pretty good thus far. So, yeah, that's very positive news for how the bubble potentially will work out for once games get started, because we all want NBA to return, sports in general. But, yeah, all want NBA. So that's exciting. I'm glad. That's a lot of good news here. But we will make the transition to the tournament that has been playing and has concluded, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, so we're going to hold off on who actually won it. But we did have a championship match against the number 4 seed Golden Eagles against the number 22 seed Sideline Cancer. And how they got there was Golden Eagles played the Red
Scare.
The Red Scare, yes, the Dayton team. And they just led the whole way pretty much. They ended up winning 79-70. Won pretty handedly. So the Golden Eagles went pretty quick. But the Sideline Cancer upset KP and I's pick to win the whole thing. We picked them twice. Both of us picked them in the original bracket and the re-bracket. And they upset them with a 3-point shot from Maurice Creek. Coming down to, he hit a 3 to go up to the 67-65, taking out Joe Johnson and the Overseas Elite. Did you see that coming? I didn't.
I mean, there's no way. Who had that coming? First of all, Joe Johnson in his first game had 13 points. The second game, he had 35 and 7. Then he comes out, and we're like, okay, he's rolling now. Nobody's going to be able to stop him. And Sideline Cancer just found a way. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, what do you have, 18 in the final game?
Yeah.
18?
20, I don't think. It was unbelievable.
They Marcus Keene had a really good game. Maurice Creek obviously hit that big shot. So setting up an interesting final, Golden Eagles are actually a team that have won the second most games overall in the entire history of this tournament, but have yet to take home the championship. So they go against the number 22 Sideline Cancer, who obviously a 22 seed out of 24 teams, a super long shot to make this championship. And they obviously are playing for more than just basketball. They're playing for Sideline Cancer. The owner talks about, I think it was her husband died of pancreatic cancer, and that they're fighting against. And so it's set up for a very interesting game. And KP took notes on the first quarter. So how did this game start?
And the reason I want to talk about the first quarter is for all those young hoopers out there. If anybody ever sees this and listens, Sideline Cancer, this whole tournament, being the 22nd seed, they showed grit the whole time. They were down big. They came back. They won a lot of games in the tournament using that kind of gritty kind of mentality, that underdog chip on your shoulder. So the game starts off like this. Golden Eagles go up 8-0 real quick. It happened faster than I could even realize it.
Yeah.
Sideline Cancer decides to call a timeout. Their coach gets into them. Guys, relax. Make your plays. You get by somebody, dump it off, whatever. We don't have to do our hero ball is not a thing here. We're in the championship for a reason. Keep playing together. Immediately, Sideline Cancer turns it over out of the timeout. Just terrible pass, goes over this dude's head, reaches behind him, can't get it. It was just awful. Okay. Golden Eagles score. Okay. Sideline Cancer finally scores. It was 10-2. Golden Eagles go on a 4-0 run. So now Sideline Cancer only has 2 points, right? They're down big. First quarter, it's 3 minutes left to go, or maybe it's 4 minutes left to go. The score after the first quarter, Sideline Cancer 23, Golden Eagles 22. Okay? Easily, very easily. Nothing was going right for Sideline Cancer. Literally nothing. And all they did was put their head down and kept working. That's all it was. So if you're a young hooper out there and you get down big or whatever's going on, you're losing to your brother in the driveway. I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? Don't be discouraged. Just put your head down and work. That's all it is. And that's what Sideline Cancer did. That was awesome. I watched that first quarter over and over. It was great.
It was extremely back and forth game. I didn't keep track of the exact numbers, but I would have to say it was probably 12 lead changes throughout the whole game. It was a very hard fought game because I had here that they went up 8-0 and then Sideline Cancer answers with a 9-2 run. So all of a sudden, it's a much closer game that this start. The end of the half. Did you see the play at the end of the half?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Maurice Creek with 1.3 seconds left at the end of the half. They're down by 1, and they taking the ball from under the hoop, and the defender doesn't he decides to look at the play, and he just throws it off his back with 1.3 seconds left and pops it right in to take the lead going into halftime. What a play that was. Maurice Creek, that's who actually did it again, went off for the first 3 quarters. He had 20 points in the first 3 quarters, but unfortunately had nothing in the fourth. That hurt. Another thing
of the LeBron 2011 finals, if anyone remembers that. I'm sure no one does, but it's okay.
No. We all remember the LeBron has 3 quarters instead of a 4 for $1. Yeah, whatever
Somebody
it was.
He needs to go play hockey because there's no fourth quarter here.
Yeah. Well, Marcus Keene was the best player for Sideline Cancer all tournament, and Golden Eagles shut him down. He had 3 points going into the fourth. They completely took him out of the game. Elgin Cook for Golden Eagles had a really good game. He had, I think it was 15 points in the first half. So he had a good start. But coming down to the fourth quarter here, because we have not yet announced the winner, it was a tie game going into the Elam where they added 8 points. It was 70-70, so it was first to 78. And it was Sideline Cancer who hit a 3 to actually tie it right before the 4-minute mark, where they do the stoppage time to then decide what the Elam score is going to be. And this is what happened after that. So immediately Golden Eagles had the ball. They get a quick 2 points. They taken the ball underneath the hoop. Quick drive. They get 2 points quickly. Marcus Keene, who I just said had 3 points all game, hits a huge 3 to go up by 1. He was doing nothing all game. Hits a 3. Yeah. And they were talking about the entire tournament, that during the Elam period, he's been huge. The entire tournament. So he hits a big 3. Jameel Wilson for Golden Eagles comes back and knocks a 3. So bang, bang, bang. There's been no turnovers, no miss. They had a couple missed shots, but they got the offensive rebound. But it was literally 2 points, 3 points, 3 points. So already they're going to 78, and it's 75-73. Golden Eagles are one shot away in just 2 possessions from winning this thing. Sideline Cancer gets the ball back.
$1 million on the line.
Yes, I forgot to say that. Yeah, it's basically the final elim turned into a game to 8 points for $1 million.
Yeah.
First to 8 gets $1 million.
No big deal. Just keep playing.
just keep playing here. Yeah. So they bring in this guy McGlynn. He's been doing nothing all year, but Sideline Cancer calls timeout. They bring in him. He all of a sudden has like a very pretty open lane where he could have pulled up and shot a bucket, but to me he looked like he did not know what to do in that situation. He was not meant to be in a clutch situation, but he ends up kicking it back out to the top of the key. And Artis has a really nice look for a 3-point to go back up by 1, but unfortunately hits the front of the rim. And that would be the last time the Sideline Cancer gets the ball. They only had the ball twice.
Yeah.
Going into the elim period. Like, they need to get 8 points, and they only had the ball twice. You can't get 8 points in 2 possessions unless you get 2 and 1 3-pointers. Like, those are pretty rare.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying back to back.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Now another Travis Denier for the Golden Eagles has 0 points at this point. Guess how many points he finished with? 3. And it came with the final bucket. Travis Denier has yet, all tournament long, he never scored more than 3 points.
Yeah.
In a game. He is only good for a 3-pointer. 1 3-pointer per game. Like
per tournament.
Per tournament. Yeah. And he comes in and knocks down the 3. They get the ball inside and they collapse on the I think it was Cook who had the ball inside. They collapse on him, triple team him. He kicks it out for an open Travis Denier in the corner. Bang, knockdown. Golden Eagles take the tournament 78-73 over Sideline Cancer. The miracle run for Sideline Cancer comes to an end, but the Golden Eagles get their first tournament win and they've been in the tournament every year, second most wins besides Overseas Elite, and they finally get their first tournament win. Very, very exciting finish.
Can I add one more thing to that exciting finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Travis Denier, that last shot he just took, that was the last shot of his career for $1 million. He said he's not playing basketball professionally after this.
Your last shot of your career is $1 million bucket.
Bro, I mean, and he, you know what, push that button, Zelle, right to my bank account. I'm out. Thanks.
What a way to end your career. Yeah, how do you come back after that? I mean,
you don't.
You're just like, I've already called it. I took it, got my bucket, I'm out. But no, this was a fun tournament to watch. I didn't know many players coming into it. A thing that we didn't mention, unfortunately for Sideline Cancer, they were missing one of their best players after the second game, Diamond Stone. He was actually a University of Maryland alum that was really good for Maryland. He came out too early, in my opinion. I think he came out after his freshman season. Like, he only had 1 season in the college, and he ended up being a late second-round pick, never really did anything in the NBA. I think he went overseas. It's like that. I think if he would have stayed 1 more year for the Terps, he could have been a top 15 pick. But coming out too early, you have that stigma on you. Now everybody's forgetting about you. Nobody really cares, and you're not. You're nothing.
Wasn't that back? That was back in the day when Maryland was in the ACC, right? So they were playing.
No, that was like 3 years ago. That was in the Big Ten.
Oh, really? I didn't know. Okay, I didn't realize he was.
He was on the same team as Melo Trimble, if you remember that name.
Oh, yeah. I do remember Melo.
Yeah, Melo Trimble and Diamond Stone were the duo for Maryland. That
I think Melo's another one that came out too early too.
He came out as a junior, I believe, or was it a sophomore?
I think he left his sophomore year. Yeah, he left.
Maybe it was a sophomore. Yeah, he hated school. I heard. I have my wife's sister.
All these kids do.
My wife's sister is a police officer for University of Maryland, College Park. So she does a lot of the games and a lot of security for everything. So she's got to meet a lot of these players. And yeah, this guy did not want to go to class. He wanted out. And I'm sure Diamond Stone was probably a very similar way. it's a miracle that we had him for the time we did. To be honest, I want to say he actually stayed for his junior year. I think he had. I could be wrong. Maybe it was sophomore. I'd have to go back and look. But anyway, but it still sucked for sideline cancer because Diamond Stone in the first game had 19 points. Went off. And
Huge.
they still made it to the championship without one of their best players. Diamond Stone's a big dude. I think he's like 6'10", 6'11". So he's a center in the middle. But big boy coming down. And it's a miracle that they got as far as they did. And as I said, they had a game to 8 for $1 million. I mean, you can't ask as the 22 seed. I mean, you're taking that every day. Give me that absolutely. All day. So that was very fun. And as far as the bracket is concerned, Tim won the second bracket and the first bracket because a team named House of Pain got eliminated a little too soon.
All right, so let's talk about that for a second. Here's the thing, okay? I hate being right, but I hate being wrong first. So when I said that in true Illinois fashion, they're going to lose before the championship, I meant they were still going to win a game and then lose before the championship. Oh my gosh, that ending for that Red Scare versus House of Pain game. I think it was, I don't know exactly. Red Scare got to 770, and House of Pain was at 51, and the score to win was 78. Okay. House of Pain couldn't throw a rock in the ocean for 3 quarters. I watched every single one of their players try as hard as they could to think about what basketball was really supposed to be like, and they couldn't do it. The Dominator, Mike, he didn't show up. That hurts.
Yeah.
All that.
He was your best player all tourney. That sucks for him. Yep.
So we were losing by almost 20 points. I think Red Scare scores the first bucket of the Elam anyway, right? And then we scored a couple, and then okay. So here's the thing: Red Scare gets to 78 or 76, whatever it is, 76. Okay, 78 wins it. Illinois goes on an 8-0 run, gets to 70, and then
giving you a little hope.
And then I was writing a tweet that was "Thank you, Illinois TBT. I appreciate you guys for everything you did." And I looked at the scoreboard and I erased the tweet, threw my phone, and was like, "Let's go!"
Yeah, let's get
I was stoked. And the way they lost, loose ball, run out, somebody dunked on Malcolm Hill.
Oh, God. Terrible, terrible time.
And those are the 2 points I needed.
Those are the 2 points I needed. Yep. Yeah, I beat you in the first bracket and the second bracket. And I will
switch my jersey.
Take my dub twice over you. Thank you very much.
Wow.
I did my research. I knew a bunch of the players. I knew what was going to happen.
I'm done with this.
Dude,
we're signing. This is our last episode. I want to say, good. Have a great rest of your lives.
Just hang up now. No, it was a fun tournament to watch. The TBT did a really good job with the coronavirus. I don't think anybody gotten seriously sick or anything. I didn't hear any news that somebody died, God forbid, from this tournament taking place. It seems like they did everything they were supposed to do at a very well done situation, and hopefully the NBA and other leagues can take this model and replicate it for good professional sports. But we have one more topic of the day, and it's about the WNBA return. KP's got us again on the update. Take.
Yeah, so the WNBA coming back is a little weird because with coronavirus, they issued any player that's worried about their own health can get a medical waiver. Okay, mm-hmm. So they had a couple hundred players. They're thinking 15 to 30 of them might say I have sickle cell or I have the trait that carries something or whatever. Okay, Elena Deladon is a former college star out of Delaware. She is a ridiculous talent. 6'5", 185 pounds, averaging 20 and a half points per game, 7 rebounds. These are for her career. Okay, 20 and a half, 7 for her career. 47% field goal, 39% from three, 94% from free throw. She is the best women's basketball player, in my opinion, right now. Okay. To give you reference, 68 NBA players have averaged 20 points per game in their careers. Only 3 in the WNBA have done that in their careers. Some are very close, but we're there. And the reason this is such a big deal is because she has Lyme disease. Okay, Lyme disease is not something to mess with. She put out a quote where she applied for a waiver. She got denied that waiver. Okay, so she went to the media and she's like, hey, I'm going to tell my story if you guys want to deny this waiver. When she applied, she's like, there won't even be a question. I'm going to get this waiver. It's going to happen. This isn't a disease to mess with. She got denied, so she said, here's my typical day. I take 64 pills a day. 64 to combat this Lyme disease, to keep up like her bodily functions, like everything normal, regulation of different whatever's going on. Okay, like that is ridiculous, right? That's a insane stressor.
My grandparents don't take that many pills, and they take a lot of pills.
It's something that like no human should ever have to take a supplement 64 times a day. That's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous. And the WNBA is basically saying we are going to withhold your salary if you don't play. So this is obviously transcendental talent that is combating a disease that she has no control over, and now she has to pick between getting her paycheck or possibly risking her life.
So wait, what would be an excuse then?
That's a great question. I mean, I know if you have respiratory problem, like
a medical waiver.
The only thing I can think of would be like if you have a condition of like repetitive pneumonia, like if you easily contract pneumonia, maybe severe types of asthma where you have to use a rescue inhaler. But basically what I'm thinking is anything that attacks your respiratory system, bronchitis might be an example. I'm not really sure. But Lyme disease, I feel like, is definitely one of those top ones that should have got a waiver.
I don't know.
That's not a joke.
I've heard of Lyme disease, but to be honest, I don't exactly know what it is.
I can tell you a little bit about it. I know you have to get blood work done kind of often. Obviously, if you're taking 64 pills, there's irregularities in your body that are going on that need to be managed.
Really?
I know you're more susceptible to other diseases as well. I don't get the WNBA's take on this. I really don't see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm just seeing. I'm just curious. Like, I guess is this not a disease that has been listed by the CDC or something as far as like something that if you have it, the coronavirus is not supposed to like make it worse or something? I don't know. Like,
it could be a situation like that. But at the same time, if she contracted coronavirus with all these other medications going on in her body, she wouldn't even know how that's going to affect her physically also. Like that COVID and like whatever other supplements she's putting in her body, that could all have an adverse effect on her later. And she's obviously, she's the best. I don't know who's better than her at all. But I've thought this for a while, is that she can be the best women's basketball player ever.
Mm-hmm.
And stats don't lie. She's top 5 in blocks, rebounds, points, free throw percentage, and fantasy points since she's been in the league. So
it's also
I think the WNBA got it wrong here. They need to reevaluate this, I think.
Yeah. If you're gonna give waivers, I don't. It's very, or at least a portion of the salary, I guess. Right. Yeah, you're not playing the games, but the only thing I'll say is for the WNBA is they already don't necessarily make a whole lot of money, and she's clearly a star. The NBA might play hardball a little bit more with a LeBron James than they would, with Joe Blow. Okay, hold on. We need to talk here. We can't have you missing the NBA Finals right now. You're our you are the face of the league, basically. Like we need you.
But at the same time, in the NBA, LeBron misses a year, his bank account's not hurting. Like she is making obviously a lot more than like the typical Joe Schmo guy is, but she's making less than an NBA rookie would make right now. She's only making $225,000.
Right.
I mean, I know when you say only, that's before taxes or anything. That's before whatever else is coming out of there. And I don't know if you guys know this or not. I think she has a little sibling who's been battling autism. Or some kind of disability like that, and she's been supporting her family using her WNBA salary as like her main support. So she loses that, she's hurt in a whole lot of directions. I mean, medically, obviously, her sponsorships might fall, and she's missing that main chunk of her income.
Fair enough. Let me see here. Hold on. It does. I just actually see. This came out earlier that Mystics to pay Ella Deladon's salary, but agent says concerns remain. Question whether her status is reigning to be MVP. Back to the being denied. The Mystics announced that she is on the roster and will be paid her salary even if she does not play. So the Mystics say that. So I guess was it the WNBA that denied it, and now Okay, so that's all right. So the Mystics are actually the ones that are coming out and being like, "Well, I don't care what the WNBA says. That's my player.
Okay.
I'm paying her."
Yeah, and that's the thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way is how is the WNBA gonna put out that they're gonna withhold her salary when each individual team has the budgeting to work with salaries. It's not the NBA doesn't keep all that either. Each individual team does that. WNBA same deal. So I was just confused on that. I don't know. Obviously, the WNBA doesn't want to lose their money with she's an exciting player to watch and all that, and she sells tickets. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think the Mystics owner is the same as the Wizards. Ted Leonsis. I think he owns the Wizards, the Caps, and the Mystics.
Yeah, so he's been paying John Wall to be hurt this whole time. I mean, he's fine with wasting money.
Yeah, chairman of the Washington Capitals. Does he own both? I think he owns all three. But yeah, that's interesting as far as that has to be their thought process though. It has nothing to do with her disease. They're just looking at this as and nothing to do with her personally or anything like that. This is not personal or any this is just okay. You are the face of our league. You're the reigning WNBA MVP. I know the Mystics won the finals last year. I'm sure she was probably the WNBA. I can't remember who was the MVP of the finals.
MVP, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's exactly what they're thinking. Is It may have only tried to be a tactic of just getting her to the negotiation table. Okay, what can we do to make you to get you to play? How can we make you feel as safe as possible to get to it? And when you're a layman out here, and it rubbed me the wrong way too as a layman. I'm not some great business person, but if you think about it, as a layman, hearing that you're what an a-hole. But it could just be some sort of tactic to get her to the negotiation table, and because I'm sure she's probably made up her mind at this point. But maybe they want to try to get it to be where she could potentially play. But I don't know. So it's also interesting. This brings up, or this just made me think of this question too, as a whole nother aside of players are getting medical waivers, but I guess they're not getting any sort of waivers to fight social justice, right?
Correct. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that from either side.
So if they don't play due to social justice, they don't get paid.
Correct. That would be a form of peaceful protest. Peaceful protest is outside of their CBA, I think.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah. Well. Yeah, you would love to see. Yeah, you would love to see Elena Deladon play, but it sounds like she's not going to, and the Mystics have made the decision that they will pay her. Ted Leonsis.
If you haven't checked out the article that she put out in the Players Tribune either. She got real emotional about it because she felt, at least the way I read the article, it just felt like she was attacked for whatever reason. Obviously, she was probably very emotional, very raw when she wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of quotes that I pulled from there about like the 64 pills, and she never even thought like it was a question about she would get a waiver or not. Like she's just like, I'll get a waiver because of this disease, and that's how she kind of felt about it.
And also I'll just say this: what I'm saying is all here, like, it's just my opinion. Like, I don't know any facts of what they were actually. Maybe they were just a-holes. Maybe they just looked at her.
I mean, right.
Maybe they were just like, no, you're playing. We need you to play, and I don't care about any disease you have. Like, you're playing this tournament. Maybe that's all. Maybe that's what they were like. I was kind of more just taking a practical approach to it. But yeah, maybe they were just complete jerks about it. And luckily for her, she plays for a great owner in Ted Leonsis. I mean, Ted Leonsis is a really good owner. Caps just won the championship a couple years ago in 2018. Mystics just won in last season. Like, the Wizards have been solid. They've never. Well, if John Wall plays, they would be a solid team. But I'm talking about roster-wise. The last 15 years, the Wizards have been a solid team. Unfortunately for the NBA, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to get super lucky, like the Golden State Warriors, to basically hit 100% of your draft picks. Because other than that, it's
in a 3-year period. Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Where other than that, it's basically okay. Where does LeBron want to play, and where does Kawhi want to play, and there's your champions wherever they decide to go. Like, it's not so, like or KD as well. Like, it comes down to maybe 5 players that have the power of, okay, I want to play with you, and we're gonna go to Miami, like LeBron did with Dwayne and Chris Bosh, right? Or like KD, I want to play with you guys, so I'm gonna come over to the Golden State Warriors, and we're just gonna decide to win every year. So that's how the NBA pretty much works. But that being said, in that type of NBA, the Wizards have still put a product on the floor that every year in and year out they're not garbage. Like, it's
I will say this.
They're reasonable.
I don't think Washington has been through a serious rebuild in a long time. Like, I haven't really seen them like rebuild their entire roster, get rid of stars or whatever, since like really noticing them in the playoffs and things. Like, once they made the playoffs that first couple of years, they've been consistently like
basically
maybe not 1 seed, not 2 seed, but between 4 and 8, they're always there. I mean, that's huge for
John Wall. Basically, since the year we drafted John Wall number 1. Before that and after that, we've been a respectable franchise.
Yep.
In the league. So, but that to say that Ted Leonsis is a good owner, and I wish that they were he was allowed to buy the Redskins. But I actually just found this out today. This is a whole another side, and it's kind of interesting just in sport. The NFL does not allow owners to own teams of other sports.
Really?
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah. So if you're a team owner of another sport, you are not allowed to come in to the NFL as an owner.
So what does Green Bay do with that? Because Green Bay is 100% publicly funded. So how do they know that one of those people that's helping fund Green Bay isn't also an owner? I guess they would have. I don't know. That seems. Maybe the rule. That's really interesting.
Yeah, maybe the rule applies for the CEO of the Packers, or I don't know what you call them. Because Packers still have a leadership structure.
Like
yes,
family,
they're owned by by the people of the Green Bay fan base, yes, but they still have a leadership role, so that probably has something to do with that, where they can't be a part of another team, the leadership group of the Packers. That would be my guess, but I don't know. It's a fair question. But, all right, well, that's what we got for today. Remember the question of how many players will be kicked or quarantined in this bubble by the time the games start? Or, let's put a timetable on that, actually. Is it by the time the games start, or is it for the entire bubble?
By the time the playoffs start.
by the time the actual playoffs start. So not the play-in games. Okay,
I believe
so
that'll be August.
yeah, so how many players will be kicked/quarantined before the playoffs start? My guess is probably something like 25.
I'm gonna go with 20, and I think it's gonna be 20 players that no one's ever heard of, that know they're not gonna get to play, that just get their paycheck for showing up.
Well,
It's
I mean,
one
Russell
team,
Wilson
one team.
was already tested positive.
Westbrook.
So, Russell
But he was at
Wilson.
home.
Russell Westbrook,
He was at home though. He was not there.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, he didn't get kicked out of the bubble. He got told to stay home. This is players that got kicked out of the bubble.
Okay, fair enough.
Get quarantined in the bubble. Yes, so just verify the question, Tim.
There you go. Awesome. Well, yes, answer it down. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more, and we will see you next week on 94 Feet. See you later.